Hey, what's going on? Happy Sunday. Thank you for tuning into my channel. Whew, there's been a lot of things that have been stirring up in my spirit. Like truly stirring up in my spirit. Just about food. The food we eat. The very fuel for our bodies is what we put in our bodies. You know the saying, you are what you eat. And this reigns true in so many ways, shapes, forms. This reigns true. And I have a blog page, and back in January of this year, I wrote kind of a blog on and called it Modern Warfare. And it was really things that God put on my heart in relation to how the enemy uses food to, have us destroy ourselves. And you got to check it out. I'll leave the link in the description. But as I was watching a few videos and just listening to a few things, like this is real. Like this is real. And when we start to think about sickness, disease, when we start to think about the things that impact our bodies, our mental health, our energy levels, when we start talking about things like cancer, and all these things have a common denominator: the food we eat. The food we eat. And the propaganda that is behind, and when we say propaganda, we know that the enemy, the devil, is the father of all lies. And so we know that propaganda, oh help me Holy Spirit, propaganda is nothing more than a lie, a very sophisticated lie, a very well calculated, orchestrated lie. And when I say propaganda, like the marketing techniques that are used in advertisements and things of that nature to, grab our attention, to lure us into purchasing a product. Like, example, Pepsi products, Coca-Cola products, these sodas. But they're not giving us the fine print in the destruction that consuming these things over time will do to the body. Just like sugar, how everything is loaded with sugar and added sugar, and how certain cells or certain diseases feed off of sugar. They don't teach these things in school. We don't learn about, the anatomy and nutrition and things of that nature on how food truly can hurt us, or it can be our adversary. It can be our fuel. Like so I arrived at the place that I'm at now 2 years into it. 2 years I've been walking this health journey for 2 years now. I didn't plan on it. Something that the Lord led me into. And it started out in May of 2022. And I was determined, like I wanted to go to Popeyes. I was, a fan of Popeyes. The food was delicious to me. And I wanted to have my Popeyes chicken. And God was dealing with me in that moment because he wanted me to stop eating fast food. And in my mind, I had made up that I'm gonna go to Popeyes and get, what I normally get, and keep it moving. It started then, and now, 2 years later down the line, like, you can't get me to go to a Popeyes. Like Lot's wife, like I cannot look back I haven't ate McDonald's French fries. And McDonald's French fries used to be my thing. You hear me? That used to be my thing, was McDonald's fries. But let's talk about certain fast food. Let's talk about fast food. Let's talk about ultra processed food and how it is destroying our bodies. It's destroying our bodies. It's destroying our immune systems. Our body is made up of... Can we talk about how amazing God made our bodies? First and foremost, our bodies, there is nothing that compares to them. Nothing. God has made our bodies in such a unique and sophisticated, intelligent way. Our bodies can heal themselves. I mean, our bodies are incredible. And when we start talking about food and how it impacts our major systems like respiratory system, endocrine system, immune system, our nervous system, all these systems in our body, our skeletal system, food plays a major role. And so God, back in 2022, he began to chip away at my view of food, my relationship with food. Like, I no longer today look at food as something that's just pleasurable. I look at food, when I'm eating certain foods, I'm looking at those things as it's energizing my cells. It's strengthening my immune system from the disease and bacteria and all those things out here in the elements. The way I look at food now, it's like this is going to sustain my body. Yeah, so God changed the way I view food. Like, I don't look at it as just something that I'm eating, I'm consuming, and it's all about, a feel-good feeling. And this is important because when we think about the masterminds that are, orchestrating the major food corporation, fast food corporations like McDonald's. Like, McDonald's fries has roughly 40 ingredients. 40. You're talking about a potato that they, harvest from the dirt, the soil. It has 40 ingredients in it. Why is there so much ingredients? When we're looking at the Chick-fil-A sandwich, and that used to be my thing. I love Chick-fil-A. I love the Chick-fil-A sauce. I love Chick-fil-A. And what's funny, what's more sinister about Chick-fil-A is that, it was built from a Christian foundation, or with Christian values, which they have, unfortunately deviated from. But when you're talking about the Chick-fil-A sandwich, it has roughly over 55 ingredients. 55, and I have to put a little insert a picture up on the screen, but it has over 55 ingredients. MSG, natural food coloring. These properties, these chemicals are addictive, and this is why the body, the flesh, craves these things, because it's not regular food. This food has been scientifically modified, chemically modified to have us addicted. When you start to look at it from that lens, that this is a sinister and evil, there's a just major level of evil that is taking place when it comes to the food industry. And so as time went on, within this 2-year span, like, I've done nothing and continued to study, to read, and to understand to gain more knowledge about food, to understand the importance of, you know, the vitamins, the proteins, the essential things that the body needs. These are building blocks to our cells, and how food relates to all of it. You know, when we start talking about diseases and conditions in different communities, like the African American community, when we have things like D3, vitamin D deficiency is higher in the black community. When you have things like in women, black women, fibroids is higher in the black community among women. Why? When you start asking the question why, we can trace it back to food. We can trace it back to chemicals, products that we use. We could trace it back to different things. But food is a major contributor. Food is a major contributor. When we look at things like diabetes, when we look at the American diet is laced with saturated fats, laced with high cholesterol, laced with things that do damage, foods that do damage to our immune system, our gut biome, things that it doesn't build up the body, but it breaks it down. And this goes back to the blog that I wrote about modern warfare. This is strategic biological warfare against our own bodies, and we do it unknowingly to ourselves. This is why truth brings power. Truth brings knowledge. Knowledge is power. When you know better, you can make better decisions. And so it gets even more sinister when we start talking about food accessibility and communities. How certain communities don't have access to fresh vegetables, to farmers markets. They don't have access. This is a evil, unprecedented evil that has gone on. And the enemy, the devil, is the father of all lies. And it's funny, you know, because people nowadays, like at my job and things, they know that I am plant-based. I don't even like to really say vegan, but I use that term because it's well known. It's more known. But I try my best to avoid eating mock meat, like Beyond and Impossible. And if I do eat them, it's in moderation, very small moderation. Like if I'm at a family cookout and that all they got is, you know, Beyond burgers, you know, and I'll eat a Beyond patty. And even out of the two, like I would choose Beyond over Impossible meat. But those mock meats are not, they're just as riddled with ingredients that are just as bad as regular food. You might as well be eating a Big Mac, honestly. You know, so I don't like to go with the name vegan. Like I'm really on a plant-based, whole food plant-based journey. Like eating foods that have less ingredients. Like the fewer ingredients, the better. If I'm started a garden and I plant my seeds, you know, I should be able to take the seed from the ground to the table, you know, and not have all these fillers in between. Like a potato, for instance, like McDonald's fries has 40 something ingredients. Like I should be able, in a whole food plant-based lifestyle, I'm taking that potato from the ground, harvesting that potato, and then I'm gonna just, you know, clean it, slice it up, cut it up, maybe add some sea salt on there, maybe, you know, some few natural seasonings, and that's it. So that's the mindset of whole food plant-based. You want to eat something that is the closest to its natural state, as possible. That it has fewer modifications being done to it. Because a lot of the food that is consumed today is genetically modified. A lot of the food that's consumed today, it doesn't have, they don't have seeds. They're seedless. What's even crazier is that you can go to the organic aisle or section in grocery stores today, and the food will be missing seeds. They are seedless, but they still have the audacity to call them organic, and they're not. A seedless watermelon is not organic. It's been modified. So, you know, I've been on this journey, and the more I'm learning, the more I understand the importance of things. The more I understand the importance of exercise and getting outside, getting fresh oxygen, getting sunlight. I understand the importance. You know, when we were locked down during COVID and the quarantine, that did damage to a lot of people. By God's grace, I refuse. I said, I'm not about to be locked away inside all day and not getting, you know, essential, you know, sunlight, air. Like during that time, this is the time where I started hiking, and this is why I have a love of hiking so much now. During COVID, I used to go, you know, with friends. We would go out on hikes. We would get out in the sun, get out in the elements, get out in some, breathing in some fresh oxygen, because everything is connected. Everything is connected. Everything is connected. So, you know, I'm still learning things. I'm still a student continuously in God's classroom. And God has just been showing me, like, okay, you got to have more discipline in certain things. Like, yes, I know you want to eat this sugary thing or this thing that has all this added sugar in it, but it's not good for you. It's not good for you. Like, there were things that only by God's strength that I could walk away from. Like, I was a big coffee drinker. Like, I would be the one that had coffee that it looked like it was like light, like it would be steeped in cream, to the point where it's not even coffee anymore. It would be steeped in cream, steeped in sugar. I was an addict of caffeine. And all of those things were making my body susceptible to sickness. Because when we think about it, like, the food we're eating, like, if I'm eating fast foods, like McDonald's, like Burger King, like Taco Bell, things of that nature, like when I'm constantly consuming that, drinking sodas, dark sodas, period. When I'm like, this is my daily routine, my body my body's defenses are no longer effective. So when a virus comes or a foreign object comes, like, my body doesn't have the defenses to fight against it. That, I mean, my mindset is just lasered in on that. Like, my mindset is like, I have to make sure I'm eating proper things, that my body has the mechanism to fight against disease. Because if not, I'm really, when I'm eating this junk food or ultra processed food, my body is fighting against itself. Autoimmune disease. That's when your body literally is fighting against itself. So, you know, these are things that God really opened my eyes to. Like, I had no intention on being plant-based. And it was a progression. Like, I started out vegetarian. I started out vegetarian. I cut out meat. Then that morphed into me being vegan, like cutting out dairy. That one of the hardest things for me to do was cutting out cheese. Cutting out cheese. But there are studies on cheese. Make sure you just look it up. Like the impacts of cheese and different things, dairy and things of that nature. Now, of course, do all things in moderation. So, you know, because I can hear people saying, well, as long as I'm not consuming, do things in moderation. Do what you feel is good for your body. For me, cheese is not good for my body. Dairy is not good for my body. When you start talking about endocrine disruptors, like certain things, like I really had to cut back from a lot of things, like certain perfumes I would wear, certain fragrances, certain products. Like I literally had to go in and get rid of most of all of my plastic containers, and now I have glass containers. I stopped using certain deodorants, certain popular feminine hygiene brands, like all of those things. I changed out, you know, the filter. I put a filter in my shower head to filter out all the bacteria and things that are harmful to the body, because the skin is one of the biggest organs of our body. Certain lotions that I use, all of it is connected. But the purpose of this video is dealing with food. It's dealing with food. But this is something that's real. And, you know, people will give you a hard time when you don't want to eat any of the cake. Like, it's funny, we had like somebody was leaving at my job, and they, you know, brought some cake for the person, and they had cake and then they had fruit. So, you know, of course I went over and got some of the fruit. I'm like, okay, I can get some pineapples, you know, and whatever, some cantaloupe, I can get that. They gave me a hard time for not eating no cake. I'm like, y'all are giving me a hard time to eat this cake because I'm not eating this cake. You know, people are gonna give you a hard time. They're gonna think you know, something's not right with you or whatever because you don't want to have a slice of pizza. But that's none of their business. Like, this is your body. This is your health. Like, we have a culture. We have cultures created around food. Created around junk food. We have climates and cultures that surround food. You know? So I'm not there yet. I haven't arrived. Like, I'm learning. I am learning. As I go, I am learning. By the Lord's grace, I am continually learning about nutrition, the impact of nutrition to our bodies. And you know, I love anatomy. Like, anatomy, I've always loved anatomy. I've always loved learning about the body. I've always loved learning about nutrition. And look, this isn't for everybody. This isn't everybody's walk. But this walk is the path that God has me on. And by His grace, I pray to continue to be obedient. Because there's a reason why God, back in May of 2022, He wanted me to stop eating certain things. Like, God sees everything from the beginning to the end. He sees it all. So I thank God for His grace. But you know, when we look at America and an American diet, and diabetes is, you know, sky high. High blood pressure is sky high. Heart disease is sky high. Kidney disease is sky high. Why? Why? They like to claim things are genetic, but a lot of the times it's not genetics, it's what we're eating. It's what we're eating. So y'all be blessed. If you tuned in this long, be blessed. And I will talk to you later.